This is Catherine Spada, Communications Manager from Women in Film, and I'm here with Nana.
Yes.
Hi.
Hello, Catherine.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. How about you?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited to talk to you about LA Woman Rising.
Thank you so much.
Tell me a little bit about the film. It's a collection of vignettes following the morning routines of over 50 women throughout Los Angeles.
Yes.
What is it about the morning routine that you were like, I'm doing this?
Yeah. I wanted to find a way of putting together the shared female experience, and I thought the morning is where we all start our day. Mm-hmm. We all wake up with our eyes open and ready to conquer and, seize our opportunities and make our dreams come true. And I thought it was a common space to begin and, see how we all live. Mm-hmm. And there's something very vulnerable about the morning, before we put on our armor.
Oh, that's really interesting, yeah.
And I think vulnerability is something that is a theme of my life, and I would want to, that's why I start with my work and myself, with everyone. And so I thought the morning was really this important place, this humble place to begin and explore and show these women and their stories.
It's very universal.
Yes.
There are things that you see echoed throughout different women throughout the film, some of the same things that we all do, probably without even thinking about it.
Totally.
And then, like you said, we're all just, the same when we wake up. But what I loved is how we get to see some of the people overlap or intersect in ways that show once we're out of that kind of safe cocoon of the morning, then everything changes.
Amen.
It was really cool.
Thank you.
So one of the through lines that struck me that I wasn't really expecting, kind of going into the movie, I thought, it's waking up, you go from the dream to the reality and what all that takes. It might be makeup, it might be clothing, it might be having to go work. But I found that movement was a really integral part of so many of these women's day. And there are people who are moving with the help of a wheelchair. There are people who are moving through exercise or moving for labor, for work. And that seemed to be something that's very important to you.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes. I think a lot of things can be said without words. And the way we move is the way we communicate with the world. And it was something that I didn't think about before the film, but following someone like Mia in the wheelchair, how she had to retrain herself to do the everyday simple things.
Yeah.
And how Heather is loving her body, whether she's a size 0 or a size whatever.
Yeah.
And
she's the one we see in yoga class.
Yes.
Yes.
Erin, the dancer, how she's moving, and she's saying that because it's true, like when we move our bodies, it allows other women to feel comfortable, to feel like they can also move. And I think movement is a very, very powerful thing. Sometimes we can get lost with the word, but nonverbal communication, to be able to move through the world, is a signal for people coming together. It's for a signal for giving to the world what you want from it. And I think movement is a very important part of life, because like water, when water doesn't flow, when things doesn't move, it gets murky.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important for us to be aware of that.
That's really interesting, that stagnant feeling. I started to notice some patterns, and you see women stretching, dancing, opening a window or a door. And that is all nonverbal, and it's still telling us something about each of these people.
Yes, it does.
That's really cool.
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad you resonated with that.
Well, and I haven't met you before today, but I got this sense that this was something personal to you. Yeah. I don't know if you have a background as a dancer or anything like that, but it felt very poetic and intentional.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I am a native Angelino.
And LA woman.
I'm an LA woman,
okay.
And so is my mom. So I'm a second generation LA woman.
From where?
Well, she's from East LA and our family's from Mexico.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Wow, real.
Yeah. Super LA. My dad's from New York. Another typical LA story. Very much wanting to get away from the snow.
Yes.
And the film starts with a native Angelino who is in Santa Monica, and there's a lot of stories of both immigrant women in this film, but also women who are pursuing certain goals from other states, other cities. And you are yourself Ghanaian, is that right?
I'm from Ghana, born and raised.
So tell me about that. I mean, I always find it interesting because this is my backyard, but people become Angelinos whether or not they were born here.
Yeah, it's true.
So how did that resonate with some of the women you were profiling?
Yeah, I think I was, I lead my life with vulnerability, and I think because of that, I was able to create a space that felt very vulnerable between the women of Los Angeles and myself. So, being also from another place, I was really curious about how there's so many ideas of LA, right? There's everyone, Hollywood is the most idealized LA version for people. But I think, and the people that come here for holiday or had a sting here, could be West Siders or East Siders. There's always this thing in LA, right? That, I'm this and that, and you're not this and that. And so for me, that was a really interesting place to make LA also as a character in the film.
Yes.
And so, with Sophie being a native Los Angelino like yourself, it's very rare, believe it or not. It's very rare that you meet women that are born and raised here.
Yes, and who are working in this industry.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's a trip. And I think that I wanted to have these women also embody that and kind of bust the myth about, what an East Side woman is like and a West Side woman is like, and just kind of I wanted to use the locations, the different parts of the city, because LA to me is like a suburban city, right?
Yes.
It's like little suburbs, and we drive through and we see the signs, but we don't really. What is that? It's just there. And I think the women actually really embody which part of the city that they're from.
Definitely. Now, speaking of the Hollywood dream, I thought there were a few people who the Chateau Marmont is very important to their experience. And again, I think that's I have an idea of what the Chateau Marmont is like. I've never been. I've driven past it.
Exactly.
And it represents so much of that Hollywood. And I'm curious, now you're an actor, you've modeled.
Yes.
There are performers throughout this film.
Yeah.
And did you feel like they maybe were more comfortable with you because of your experiences as well?
I can see that. I can definitely see that. But I also think women in general, we are creators. We were born to create. Our body is literally built to create life. And so, I guess the women that are more in the expressionist, artistic fields are more closer to me.
Yes.
And also this is the city of entertainment, so it was kind of obvious. I started counting it, by the way. It was like, oh, there's a lot more.
But it's true. I think everybody knows somebody who's involved in entertainment, whatever that is. It could be a little black box theater on Santa Monica Boulevard, Hollywood Fringe Festival, or it could be somebody who has been acting since they were 4 years old.
Exactly.
There are the ways that this industry touches so many people.
It's so true. Everyone has a story.
Yes.
Everyone has a story about pulling up to the gas station and seeing Lawrence Fishburne, or I used to be an actor when I was 4, or you know what I mean? It's really, I did an extra job once, It's always, I think it's a very powerful medium.
Yes.
And obviously you know, obviously like a city like this too, like offering that kind of expression. It's also why the women were also drawn to the city in the first place.
Something that I like to think about, perhaps because I've grown up here and had this industry around me, is that there are women who work in this industry who are custodial staff, who work on catering, who work in security. Like that, it is an industry that is encompassing of so many other industries and trades, and we get to see a lot of women whose lives and paths have overlapped. And the film, for anybody listening who hasn't had a chance to see it yet, does not follow a typical narrative structure. There isn't necessarily a beginning, middle, and end, but there are ways that you create commentary. And I was particularly drawn to, let's say, Sophie and Alma, who are the first two women we see, and who Alma works at Sophie's home. But Sophie has grown up here, third generation Angelino in Santa Monica. Alma is from Guatemala. And I wondered, how did that process work? Did you talk to both women about how they were both going to participate? And what were their reactions to that?
Well, Sophie is one of the women that I've, you know, when I moved to LA, I got a chance to be very close with, and she's so inspiring and so driven and just so powerful, and I was really lucky to have her bring me into her world, and I was really inspired by her, so I asked her to be part of the film. And Alma, I met her once. I actually know her from my old house with my ex-boyfriend. She was our cleaning lady, and I met her, you know, of our neighbors, and then naturally she was, you know, she worked in the West Side. And I thought, whoa, this is a connection here. You know, how they're both taking the freeways, almost taking the freeway to come to the West Side, and I just really kind of wanted to humanize and normalize and celebrate the difference. And I thought the difference between those two women is something to be celebrated, because it's not, you know, Sophie lives in this massive house, and but they're both moms and with sons, and they're both working moms, and so I just really wanted to kind of bridge that and not make it so weird. Because though Alma is a cleaning lady, she's proud of who she is. She's so lucky that she has a job, that she gets to provide for her son and her husband, and Sophie the same. You know, she's busy doing all these things, and so she's extremely lucky to have a cleaning lady who's proud to do her job and not be a weird thing. You know what I mean? And like, it doesn't have to have this extra narrative to, like, you know. Right.
Everybody, that's also something that's very familiar. Most of us either know somebody who's employed domestic help, or know people who have been working in that field as well. You know, I think that many families probably have both. Los Angeles is, I always think it would be very interesting for somebody who's not from the city to take Santa Monica Boulevard all the way. And you'll have, or Melrose, let's say, you'll have LA City College, you'll have a lot of panaderias, and then you will get, eventually you'll find yourself at an Alexander McQueen boutique, you know.
I mean, visually describing it, I'm like, you're right.
And it's such an you know, you could just keep going. You could probably take one day and walk the whole stretch, and you would find yourself coming into contact with so many cultures, so many different types of vendors, whatever that is. And it's all part of us. It's all part of our city, too. I think that's probably why, because this is my city and I do love it so much, probably why I was so intrigued to talk to you about it.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you.
Absolutely. Now, there's one other person who I was very struck by in this film, Domitila, who I thought what was so beautiful is she has a profound relationship with her truck, Chilindrina, which is where she sells groceries. And there is a moment where she says that she speaks to her truck and she tells it her worries and her thoughts and her dreams. And that, I mean, I got shivers when I was watching it, because I thought, you know, women are, in so many ways, we are our work, whether that's the work of mothering or caregiving, or, I mean, she's physically out there every day trying to make a living. And I just found that she was portrayed in such a beautiful way. And how did you find that people were comfortable kind of opening up, sharing these personal thoughts, you know, that maybe I wonder if she's ever said that out loud to anybody before?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, Domelita is a woman that she's my neighbor. Mm-hmm. I met her when I first moved out to K-Town. Mm-hmm. And I would go and buy plantains from her, and I would chat with her, and she's always so funny and cool and nice with me. And I realized I became really interested in her because she showed me the first sign in my neighborhood of someone looking out for you.
Right.
You know, I came from Venice, where it was like a big, massive community, mm-hmm. you know, and then all of a sudden I find myself in Koreatown, where I'm anonymous, you know, mm-hmm. it's like more gritty, it's more fast, it's, you know, and my Mexican neighbor across the street is really curious about me and like looking out for me when my car is gone for a while,
right.
like, you know, and so our friendship began like that, and I sat with her one day and I asked her that I was doing this project and I would love to do it, and she said I would love for her to be part of it. I don't think she even understood me, and she said okay. She just said it.
Yeah, just open.
She was just so open to me, right. And I think it was respect, the respect that she and I showed each other, mm-hmm. and that's one thing that she also talks about in the film, like the respect of other women,
yes.
you know, giving each other that respect, because, you know, from the looks of it, we are like in two totally different worlds, mm-hmm. but we are actually the same. I'm an immigrant too,
yes.
you know, I'm also here I have my story of how I got here, you know, and so that respect that we were able to have for each other, and her showing me the sign of care, mm-hmm. you know, and me being receptive to it.
Yes.
Receiving it, because that's another thing, like when you're able to receive, that is also as important as giving.
Yes.
And because of the cultural thing and how perhaps we were both raised, we noted that, like, I see you,
certainly,
you know, and she was just super open with me, and shooting her was, you know, I actually shot that episode, and you know, I just had this new lens, and it was all weird and crazy, but I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna keep going with it. Right. And yeah, I see her every day. She's awesome. So great, and I can't wait for her to come to the premiere and watch herself, yes. And her family be there to celebrate with us.
Well, our women in film offices are not far away, and I thought, you know, one of these days I'm going to be driving around and I'm going to see Chilindrina. You are. And I'm going to pull over and look for her.
8th and St. Andrews.
I know exactly where that is. Awesome. So that's really interesting when you talk about, you know, having a new lens and trying, and so many women that we work with, that we have talked to, we have learned our trades ourselves. Mm-hmm. A lot of it is watching YouTube videos, yes. asking somebody else who knows, and that's something I think a lot of women in film members have the opportunity to talk to each other about when we're at events, when they're coming to the office or a screening, is, look, I want to produce this film. Mm-hmm. I bought a camera. Can you help me figure out how to learn to use it? Yes. Or I am looking for an editor. I can do the bare minimum, but how can somebody else come in and really make it professional? Yes. So what was your, you know, between actually shooting and doing the physical on-set production, mm-hmm. could you talk a little bit about the journey of financing and getting this film made?
Yeah.
Because that's ultimately what so many creators who are doing it themselves.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to know, all right, what's the journey that you found yourself on?
Yeah, it was a long one, I gotta say, the journey to complete this film. But I think first it has to start with truly being committed to the project. That is key. Mm-hmm. Because you might even have the finances, and then you can still like be like, oh, okay, this is whatever. Come up with an excuse to just like, fuck off. So you gotta really be committed to the project and like know that this is something that has to exist, and no matter what, you're gonna finish it. Mm-hmm. So that's first, and for me, and the second part for the funding for this, was really, at the time it was just like the 5D had just came out, and also I have a huge community of creatives around me, and I think I really leaned on them. My friends, photographers that I've collaborated with in my modeling years, or I've met on sets, or
Yes.
and I had this idea, and so it first began with a friend of mine who I knew in Venice. He used to shoot photographs of me a lot, and so I told him, I said I had this idea to make this film. At the time, I didn't realize the film was going to take its own life and become what it is now. It was just going to be this visual portrait of these women, and he was down with me, and we started the project together. And then a few shots in, he got really busy, and then it was like, okay, well, I guess I should just get a 5D,
right?
Because it's there, and what am I gonna buy, a purse? You know what I mean? I'm gonna just buy a camera. So I just got that, and I just started, shooting, learning myself. Before the 5D, I had a DV camera, and my work prior to that it's been all on DV, which kind of looks like, now I'm like, okay.
It has that's not to tell my age, but that's what I was shooting on in college.
Fabulous.
And so I think that it's right kind of bridging that digital and analog.
Totally. And the look is sickening. David Lynch used that for his last few films, the DV camera. But I definitely knew that the film was going to be more like now, so it was like, okay, don't do that, but use the Canon. So I got that, and I just learned. I would go to Sammy's Pro, and I would just talk to the guys there for hours. Like, oh my God, this girl's not leaving. I'm just like, so how do you do this? And then, and I've made so many mistakes, and, I think for the nature of the film, it really served me to, like, kind of learn. It was like a film school in a sense. And then I met my producer, my other producer, Whitney, and she was new in town, and she was looking for projects to work on, and then I showed her some clips, and she was like, okay, cool, let's do this. And so Kickstarter was just happening.
Yes.
And then we did a campaign, and that was like also like hustling, posting every day and asking people, and that also built this community, and also made me realize that there were some people that are championing me and clapping for me and wanting me to win. And so it's like, because people donating $20, $50, like, that's a lot.
Yeah.
And that was a really cool, cool is not the word, that was like the most generous experience, because I hadn't made anything like substantial till then. And so that part, like the Kickstarter really was really helpful for us to get to a certain level. And also the film was still, like I said, it was in the more like a baby stage.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was still like
proof of concept.
Yeah, I was like, where am I going with this? And and I gotta tell you, like this film has been a spiritual journey. The more I would get the footage, the more I wanted to know more about these women. I was like, what's their voice look like?
Right.
I made certain choices that it wasn't gonna be sit down on camera interviews. I made choices that it was gonna be only in the morning, no natural lighting, like kind of cinema verite, like, and I think again that served it for the entire project. But I really wanted to like let it like take on its life and trust where it was going. And so after I put the sequences together, and with the help of friends, and I wanted to do a follow-up, because now I'm like, okay, I have the tapestry, I have the point. I want to use this idea to celebrate the women, but also bust the myths of Los Angeles, and like also create a more open heart space for what a real LA woman is,
right?
You know. And so after that, I had to do a follow-up interview, and so it's like, you know, Harriet, the homeless woman from the beach, for instance, it took me 5 months to find her.
Oh, wow.
And then when I found her, she had been in a hospital and was gotten raped and beaten, and I was like, that was really heartbreaking. You know, so, you know, it was kind of like that kind of that vibe, and, you know, and then
expect the unexpected, I think. It sounds like, I mean, a lot of independent filmmakers, you are not only producing, you're directing, you're writing. You know, documentaries are written. You write by editing.
Yep.
You're marketing it on Kickstarter and getting funding and all of those things, but with collaboration.
Yes.
And you yourself, we hear your voice a few times, but you didn't really put yourself, you know, front and center in this film. What was the reasoning behind that?
Oh, that was a total choice. I was like, I'm not gonna be in this.
This wasn't the project for that.
No, it was not. This film came from a true place of intention. You know, I can count the series of events that really inspired this work. You know, I don't know if you're familiar with Sophie Calle, the French performance artist / photographer / video artist. Her work is so personal, and, you know, and her book, oh God, I'm totally blanking out on it. Please Take Care of Yourself. Really was massive for me. And when I saw that exhibition in France, I was like, oh my God, this is okay. This is what it's about. And then Doug Aitken, you know, he did that piece at the MoMA, Sleepwalkers.
Oh, yes. Okay.
That was visually, that was really inspiring to me. Agnes Varda is like my hero in the way that she works with the form.
Yes.
And then I saw this book also, Women Before 10 a.m. by Veronica Vale, another French artist. And I was moved by it. I was like, you know, and already like in my mind, it's very nonlinear anyway. So I thought that was like a really cool art. Then that was also enough for me to like, I think I realized like me making it already was gonna have me in it.
Right.
So I didn't have to like place myself in it. It was a really cool exercise to like, to be able to make work that is from a very voyeuristic, curious, and it was also like a love letter to the women of Los Angeles and the city. I love LA. LA is like my fucking jam. Like,
that's so interesting. The word, I mean, it certainly is voyeuristic. There are even some shots that you do where it almost feels like a hidden camera, even though we know it's not. But it's not, I mean, and this is what any woman can look at a film that's shot or directed by a woman and tell the difference.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when you have women in that vulnerable state. Some of them are nude because they're getting ready for the day or showering or whatever, but it's not exploitative or sexualized. It's just life.
Yes.
And I think that is so clear when it's shot by a woman that these are the bodies we live in. That's normal and natural. So there is a framework here, which is this poetic narration, and it is voiced by Rosario Dawson, who we're going to be very excited to be speaking with when we premiere the film.
Yes.
So how did she get involved, and what was that process like?
Rosario is someone that I've looked up to, you know, when I came out to this town, and her work is so phenomenal. Her voice, just what she stands for, and she's just a powerhouse. And, you know, when I sent her the film, I introduced the film to her, just, you know, based on like how she and I are together, like our own connection, and how she's such a girl's girl, you know. She's just like a cool woman, like, and for me, like it was like I had to feel safe to be able to like I share this work with
Certainly.
her, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's because of who she is, and I shared it with her, and she was so moved by it, and I'm so grateful that her voice with this project is going to amplify and elevate it to the next level. And I mean, that's very queen-like when you know that
Right.
you can actually elevate a story, and also these women.
Yes.
And that we're all equal.
Right.
We're all in this together. And it really kind of, Rosario's voice in it really, it's sort of like the icing on the cake. Like, it's like the blessing. It's the, you know, metaphorically and like literally.
Yeah, there's some benediction of
Yes.
of people will trust some projects or content because they are familiar with her or with whomever is involved.
Yes.
And I think that is what we see. Women in film has been around since 1973.
Wow.
And that was a time when there may only have been one woman in a room, in a meeting, if that.
Yeah.
And things are different now, but we have to help each other and bring each other up.
Amen.
And I think we are seeing that more and more.
Totally.
Even just all that collaboration, or the fact that if you're going to embark on a project, if you're not passionate about the material or the people you're working with, it is going to be torturous months or years. But if you are, then all the hard work and blood, sweat, and tears are worth it.
Yes. Indeed.
And that comes across. It comes across just talking to you.
Aw,
I can tell that you feel this warmth of pride and also gratitude for the participants and everyone who's helped make this movie a reality.
Yeah, it's powerful stuff.
It is. That's storytelling. That's what we're here for.
Amen.
So what is next for Nana?
Oh, what's next? Well, I'm just really excited to get this film out with you and Women in Film. Thank you so much. And I am so excited to, you know, completely even more dedicate my life and art to the female voice and the importance of solidarity, and you know, and hopefully cause a little ripple effect in how women we are, and through this medium. So for the film launch, really exciting. I can't wait. And we're working on a series, World Woman Rising, which would be taken, you know, maybe we'll do like World Woman Rising is the entire next
the evolution
kind of series, but it would, like, you know, go to New York, Paris, you know, Kiev, Mexico, Ghana. I just think that this message is really important to bridge the gap. And when we see ourselves, when we feel seen, not by men but by other women, there is something that changes, right? Because that's the same effect when you see another woman that doesn't see you. You're like, fuck. You know?
Right.
So when we actually really see each other and we really feel each other, and that's my goal with my work, truly, is to amplify voices and have other women to be seen, and continue this movement with women supporting each other and coming together in solidarity and doing the work.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So where can our listeners find you if they want to stay tuned for updates on the film or on your projects?
Yes. Please, you can find me on LA Woman Rising on Instagram, and Nana Ghana at Nana Ghana Instagram and Facebook.
All that
jazz. I wish Tumblr was still a thing, but
well, please stay tuned to womeninfilm.org, where we will have updates on the film and everything that we can hopefully amplify, also through our social media as well. I thank you for taking the time to chat with me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
And anyone who is listening, hopefully we will be seeing you on October 17th when we are premiering the film. And stay tuned for updates.
Yes, stay tuned.
Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine.